All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation, NFL fans? I want to talk about Carson Wentz. I know a lot of people talked about Carson Wentz. I've talked about Carson Wentz. It's almost went into the ground, just been talking and talking and talking. But how about we talk about him without having, fan biasness in it, right? Let's actually sit down and think, what would happen if Carson Wentz fails? That's an interesting question, isn't it? What if he fails? Now, I understand that a lot is going for Carson Wentz at this point, but face facts, he was not good last year. And we can put a lot of blame on injuries, talent around him, the coaching staff, all. You know what? Really good players step up, when their team is down. They lift the team, make them better. And, guys like Andrew Luck, who Carson Wentz is kind of compared to in a way, right? Andrew Luck took a really bad team and was always winning with them. And there was not a lot of talent on that team, defensively, offensively. We could even say, the office wasn't that great, when it comes to coaches and GMs and things of that nature. And yet Andrew Luck found a way to lift a team to being a perennial, playoff team. And there wasn't a year where Andrew Luck, when he played, was less than a 500 team. Carson Wentz had an awful season last year in a situation where there was a ton of injuries and a bunch of other stuff that we can obviously talk about. But the fact of the matter was, like I said, he wasn't very good. So what if he can't be fixed? What if what happened to him got in his head last year and maybe he fell off a cliff? Now, as a Colts fan, I don't really want to think about it. I really don't. But I'm going to do that right now because, we need to address that. If he's not very good, what happens? Well, obviously, the first and foremost obvious thing happens is the Colts only give up a second-round pick rather than a first-round pick. So it'll be a second and a third rather than a first and third trade for him. And the second thing is we'll still be stuck with him in 2022. So even if he's not good next year, the odds that he will not be on the team in 2022 is very, very low. He probably will be because of, the contract that's on him. Now, after that, he could be released, and, there's hardly any kind of cap hit for that. But that first 2 years, the Colts are pretty much tied to the hip to him. Now, the Colts aren't afraid of giving up money for quarterbacks, Just be like, when Andrew Luck retired, Jim Irsay's like, here, keep that $26 million for the year, even though you retired. But that was more of a thank you for everything you've done. Here's my way of showing my appreciation. The second thing is, Frank Reich. Frank Reich is going to take a little bit of a hit, because he stuck his neck out for Carson Wentz. Will it mean his job? Probably not. Probably not. But he'll take a lot of Colts fans and a lot of national media and local media, they'll put the blame on Reich because he's the one that fought so hard to get him to Indy, and he's going to take a lot of heat for it. And that's that. Even if Carson Wentz doesn't play well the first part of the season and say he gets benched and someone else comes in and plays and does better than Carson, whether it be Eason or Ellinger, he'll still take the hit for the Carson Wentz trade because it's a wasted second and third round pick. Granted, I don't think it's a waste because He's taken a chance, and it's an opportunity. We've seen what he can do. And that's more based on, potential rather than anything else. The third thing is, in my opinion, if Carson Wentz fails, then let's face it, Indianapolis is going to get a really bad reputation around the league. Not just, a lot of media is going to be all over it. See, told you, Wentz sucks. Colts made a huge mistake. They're, Eagles fans. And I know there's probably some Eagles fans watching this right now. They will be on the I told you so train. And it will be bad for probably an entire year. And you'll just have to prepare for it if it happens. Honestly, if he comes out week 1 or week 2 against the Rams, who have the best defense in the NFL, by the way, and, he legitimately could look bad. Seattle's got some guys right now that can cause problems for Carson Wentz week 1. Jamal Adams, right? Bobby Wagner, right? They just went out and got the pass rusher. They went and signed a pass rusher. So, who's pretty decent. I think it's Carlos Dunlap. So they could make life a little bit of a rough time for Carson Wentz. And the Rams definitely can. He legitimately could look really, really bad against the Rams. He could legitimately look really, really bad against Miami or the Ravens. Some of the defenses that the Colts play in the first 5 weeks are pretty darn good, right? And he may not look up to par that we're hoping. And you're going to get a lot of pushback during that. National media might jump on him. And, if the Rams make Wentz look terrible, then that could cause a chain of reaction, because, obviously that could affect his confidence, which is already probably down from what happened last year with the Eagles. And then with, everybody jumping on the bandwagon of saying Wentz is bad, that could cause an avalanche of really bad stuff to happen the rest of the season. It may not happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But, it legitimately could. So we got to be very careful in how we see this. The Colts could... I've got the Colts being 4-1 in the first 5 weeks. But they could legitimately walk out 1-4. That's how good those first 5 weeks against the Colts. They're all 10-win teams, right? From last year. They're all very, very good teams. And that's going to affect Wentz big time. How well the Colts do. Now, if he could weather the storm that first 5 weeks, he's got a pretty easy rest of the season. He only plays a few more teams that are, the weaker teams are spread out amongst the tough teams the rest of the season. And he could get some of his confidence back. But he's going to have to weather that. And he's going to have to play not like what he's used to, right? He's not going to be able to hold the ball a long time and try to play hero ball. But as we know, that's kind of second nature. It's very difficult for a quarterback to get out of that nature. And if he tries to play hero ball during those first 5 weeks, that could be a bad thing. Bad thing. And I hope it doesn't happen. If Carson Wentz goes downhill and fails that first year, who becomes the Colts quarterback? That's the question. The Colts drafted Jacob Eason last year, and he's got great arm talent. Some of the best arm talent I've seen, but he's got issues in other places, like throwing on the run and on the move and stuff like that. Ellinger, he's a guy who knows how to win. But is he more of a Tim Tebow kind of guy that just can't succeed in the NFL? Right? That's kind of how I'm seeing Ellinger. I'm not saying that he couldn't be used in a way, different ways, the way Tebow was used, but I don't see him as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I see him as a guy that you bring in like a Taysom Hill, right? Kind of player. Or the way similar to the way we used Jacoby Brissett, but more in the Taysom Hill aspect, in my opinion. We would legitimately be putting a lot of eggs in the same basket with Wentz. Yeah, and if he fails, I think this is Jacob Eason's team. And if he feels bad, if Wentz fails and he's replaced by a fourth-round quarterback, rather than Jalen Hurts, from the same draft. Remember, there's a lot of knowledge. A lot of people say that draft from Jalen Hurts is what caused Wentz to go down. I don't think that's the case, but if it is, being replaced by a fourth-round quarterback of the same draft is going to hurt him even worse. So you do not take Wentz off the field unless you're absolutely sure there is no way that Wentz can bounce back. Even if you're trying to save the season, the only way you pull Wentz is if you've given up on him completely. You have to completely give up on him, in my opinion. There is no like what you did with what Miami did with Tua, between Fitz and Tua, bouncing them back and forth. That crap that can't happen with Carson Wentz. It can't. He's too far, visually, mentally, what we see. You don't want to put that problem on his plate. So Wentz is, now I believe in Wentz. I've said this multiple times. I believe that, this is the perfect situation for Wentz to succeed. And that's not just me as a Colts fan saying that. But legitimately some things can go wrong. And it could go downhill very, very fast. So let's hope it don't. All right. Let's hope Frank Reich realizes this, puts in a bunch of plays early on those first 5 weeks, which I believe he will, because he's a quarterback friendly head coach, as we've seen with Luck on his comeback year, and then with Phillip Rivers last year, right? Good about calling plays to get the ball out of his hand quick and leaning on the run game to kind of ease the burden off the shoulders of the quarterback, which could legitimately help out Wentz a ton those first 5 weeks. But we'll see what happens. Whether or not, how many games can Eric Fisher play those first 5 weeks? That's going to be a big thing too. Having a legitimate left tackle will help decide what kind of plays that Frank Reich is going to play with Carson Wentz back there. So that's something else we have to worry about. Guys, thanks so much for watching the stream. I appreciate that. And it's just my quick thoughts about Carson Wentz and how things could legitimately go bad for him. It could. But guys, please don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell, and make sure all notifications are turned on. That way you're notified when I go live. And don't forget, check out the description of the video down here. Just hit the arrow so it pulls down. And you can find a link to my merch shop and my Patreon. Patreon's only $5 a month, man. And you get all of my content plus uploaded stuff for Patreon only. And once I have 15 patrons, I'll start doing a live stream for patrons only. every other week. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and I want you to have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.